Right, today we are joined by Ironman World Championship bike course record holder Cam Wurf. So thanks for joining us today. But it's not the biking we're going to be chatting about today because
we're not.
Sorry, we're not. Because you recently posted an incredible time at Ironman Italy. Actually, top 10 fastest Ironman time in all time. 7:46, and in doing so, posted a 2-hour 45 marathon. So I'm really interested to find out how, well, you've transformed your running, you've really progressed with it. So I wonder if you could share some tips with us.
Absolutely, I'd love to. I guess tip number one is be patient. You know, as opposed to swimming and cycling, where you can basically be rewarded by just doing a hell of a lot of something and sort of smashing away and getting better at it. If the running you do that, you'll end up hurting yourself. So you have to be patient, allow the foundation to build, and as that builds, you'll start to increase your pace and obviously run further in the same amount of time, and then start to increase your time and really do that.
So have you now been able to add distance, intensity? Is it a mix of both? Yeah.
But the way we did to add the distance and the volume to the point where we felt that I could be competitive at this level, which as a rough number was between 80 and 120k a week. We weren't really sure where that would fit. As it turned out, it's been around 100 kilometres per week. In February, for example, I probably rode my bike twice as I built up to 100k per week because we realised that we had to give my running legs maximum attention to be able to deal with the load, recover from the sessions, improve and become more resilient before we started adding the load of the bike back onto them.
Okay, so you've probably gone into a second tip for us there. So it's like actually a case of prioritising a certain discipline if you're really trying to focus on it.
Particularly on the running, I think that's really a key because of the amount of wear and tear the running has on your body compared to the non-weight bearing swimming and cycling. So I think the key there is respecting, what running does to your body. There's a reason that the world's best marathon runners train maybe 15 hours a week, which isn't a lot, when you compare it to a full-time Ironman triathlete where you're looking at 25 to 35 to 40. Tip number 3, good footwear. I never ever run in the same pair of shoes in consecutive days. Your shoes cop a bit of a hammering like your body does when you run, and they actually take at least 24 hours as a rough rule to decompress.
And do you ever change the type of shoe as well? Because that's another thing I've heard people do.
So obviously for the long runs, they've got those very specific ones, with the carbon plate. They're actually designed, I'm sorry to burst the bubble, about making you magically run faster, but what they are designed to do is give you more return for your effort, so they don't actually break your body down as much. So you're able to do more training in theory, which makes you fitter, which then makes you run better. So when I do a long run, like today, for example, which was a long run, of course I wear those shoes. For the shorter runs, I'll wear something maybe with less support, which teaches your foot to improve its stability, the little muscles in your foot. And then for the track, I'll wear a different pair of shoes, a firmer pair of shoes. Those obviously, those ones with the carbon plate are quite soft. I understand not everyone's got the opportunity to do that, but at least if you could have 2 types, something with a lot of cushioning and support for your longer runs, and then something else that makes you work a little bit harder for those other workouts, those shorter speed workouts or easier runs.
Yeah, fantastic tip. Okay, next tip, if you've got one.
Another tip that I've been so grateful to have such high level of advice is don't bother running too fast. Even my track work, I don't go much quicker than 320, 330 pace because, that's my realistic threshold level. Because we've found that, once you start pushing a bit more, then that really does take a big toll on the other aspects. I mean, you've got to think about it as 3 sports. It's not just one.
So again, it's back to that consistency and thinking about the bigger picture.
Yep. Another tip is you do have to appreciate that it does take a lot out of your body. So recovery, your food straight after, your carbs, your protein to recover. You've really got to respect the fact that running is hard on your body.
Yeah, it's I can see it's something you value, and we've just come in as you were mid-stretching.
Yeah.
You've just finished a long run, so what was your prep or your plan when you came in through the door after that long run?
Yeah, I mean, first thing is get some good fluids on board with some good sugars and so forth. Have some beet juice, get the nitrates back in, and then protein bar, and just my stomach is always a bit messed up after a run. You know, I don't try and force food in straight away because I feel quite irky for a couple of
hours. That's quite an interesting point. I think a lot of people like this, particularly after hard sessions, and they avoid eating because of that. Yeah. But actually, it is important to get something.
You need to get something in. So I tend to use apple juice. I love apple juice. Beet juice as well, which has also got a lot of sugar in it. And then the electrolyte tablets always have that and some water. So I just liquids. If you don't stretch, if you don't eat well, if you don't take your recovery seriously, you'll carry that fatigue into the next day, and then the next day it'll amplify, and that's when you can start to break things down and get yourself injured. So yeah, I think the big thing is you just got to respect how hard it is on your body and do everything you can to look after yourself.
Well, it is clearly working. We're very excited to see you race the following weekend at Ironman World Championships. If you've enjoyed today's video, please do hit that thumbs up button. If you'd like to see more from GTN, click on the globe and subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to see Cam Wurf's bike, when we actually compared it against another Uber biker of the sport, you can see that by clicking just down here.